if she belongs to the streets, what should you do? Now, the answer is a bit complicated, actually. Well, it's pretty simple, right? You can have your fun and you can be her friend, but you probably shouldn't turn her into a housewife in 99 out of 100 circumstances. Okay, that's the quick and easy answer. However, it's more nuanced when it comes to your, let's see, moral attitude. Okay, your moral attitude is going to be very nuanced with regards to a girl's promiscuity, because it largely really isn't, well, let's take it slow because this is a complicated subject. And no one is going to appreciate this video if you're on either side of the ideological spectrum. If you are a feminist, progressive, etc., whatever, and you are of the perspective that, oh, you know, this is slut shaming and this is misogynistic and it's sexist and blah, 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 you're probably not going to like this video. However, if you're on the other side and you are hyper, well, I wouldn't even call it conservative. That's too general of a term. But if you consider yourself a hyper-conservative and you are red-pilled, you enjoy videos that expose modern women, and you think that Western modern women are the bane of society, and you disdain fatherless behavior and all of these meme phrases that are being thrown around as the new type of slut shaming and shaming of promiscuous behavior, not only just sleeping with men but also in the way that they present themselves, blah blah blah, you're also not going to like this video, because this video is from a perspective of a man who's trying to give you the best dating life possible. This is not the perspective of how I think you create an ideal society, which I think is a waste of time. Like, it's a waste of effort and it's a waste of time because you're not going to have any effect on it. You think you are, and you may be a part of certain pendulum swings in certain directions, but you're really not going to have that much of an effect at all. It's going to follow its own course of nature that's far too complicated for anyone to understand. And so I want you to have the best dating life possible. I'm not interested in cultural effects. I'm interested in you and you and you and you, right? The very few small percentage of men that are going to be watching this. You do not need to get mired in this stupid fucking waste of time, gender battle, political battle, ideological battle. It's a complete waste of time and it's not helping you at all. In fact, I think it's hurting you. That's why the more conservative types are not going to like this, because I think that their perspective is not only wrong to a certain extent, it's unhelpful. And it's just going to make your dating life struggle in a lot of ways. Okay. However, they do have one thing correct. You cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. It's just very, very, very unlikely. I would never put money on it. It's a complete waste of time, because even if you did find that 1 out of 100 girl who would be the exception to the rule and is the one that truly decides to turn her life around and blah, 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 that's good for her, and I wish her all the best of luck. But it is going to affect her, the uncontrollable parts of her having been promiscuous and all that comes along with it. She's not going to be as attracted to a man who probably isn't the number one of the, X amount of guys that she slept with, because that's who you're being benchmarked against, whether she likes it or not, and whether it's, it may not be the determiner of her, like, this guy it was the best in bed, or he made me feel the most excited, etc. That may not determine who she ends up with, but it is going to determine her feelings towards you, even if she's actively fighting against it and actively like, okay, all of these feelings that I had for this guy or this guy, they were based on me at a bad time in my life, and now I have better values and I don't respect men who da-da-da-da-da. It's still going to be such an uphill battle where you're going to be trying to compete with a guy who made her feel such extremes of emotion. I mean, if you truly love this girl that much and she is the 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 who would truly turn her life around and wouldn't want to slip back into that type of behavior, after a few years of peace and calm, which is very common, go for it, I guess. But I just wouldn't recommend it. It's like betting the house on not even red or black at a roulette table. Like, it's way worse odds than that, okay? and you're trading so much of it, and you could just find a girl who doesn't have all that baggage and is just as cool and interesting and nice and sweet and fun and charismatic and intelligent, whatever, as the girl that you're really in love with and are willing to forgive the past for. And you should forgive the past, especially to someone. I mean, here's the thing. Promiscuity is not inherently evil. There is nothing inherently evil about sleeping with a lot of people. Nothing. Now, you may have a religious perspective that says otherwise, but I don't see any good argument for it, right? However, in a lot of cases, promiscuous behavior does coincide with a lot of these behaviors, right? Just sleeping with a lot of people doesn't make you evil. But for a lot of people, and in many cases, it does involve a lot of deception and leading people on and treating people badly, making people fight over you, you getting very greedy and enjoying the spectacle of all these men chasing after you, using them for what you need from them, whether it's, just sex or money or time. It usually does involve a lot of bad things, both men and women. Most hyper players are not the most ethically well-rounded men, okay? It doesn't necessarily make you an unethical person to sleep with a lot of girls, but a lot of men who are hyper successful with girls usually have a lot of traits that, while making them really good with girls, also make them shitty people. Okay, so again, the red pillars do have it correct that you shouldn't turn a hoe into a housewife, and it's mostly a complete waste of time. However, what they have wrong is that, first of all, it's not evil in and of itself. Secondly, the solution that the red pillars think is going to bring about some cataclysmic change to culture, the slut shaming, we need to bring back strong men. I mean, these things have varying degrees of success. The slut shaming is not really going to work that well, okay? It's going to have an apparent effect where you're going to see women change their behavior in public, but it's not really going to change too much in the actual behavior of these women. It's just going to go underground like it has in past periods. Like, there's this really fucking retarded delusion that red pillars have that somehow there was this golden age of sexual virtue in our past. At least in our recorded history, I really don't think that we are any less ethically unsound. We're not really any shittier than people have been in the past couple thousand years, in my opinion. I mean, I'd have to be witness to every part of the globe and every culture to know that, but I would say, just from the very brief understanding I have of history and of people, I think we're actually doing pretty good overall, ethically. I just think that a lot of bad behavior, or a lot of behavior that we don't like, and it's very hard to distinguish between the two, and that's also what I'm going to get into. I think that we're doing pretty well. I think people in general are actually a lot better than they were in the past couple thousand years. Overall, like, the average person is a better person. But even in those times where things were maybe on the surface more conservative, and maybe they actually were in a lot of the actions, like women's body counts were like a little bit less, women's like, I remember though that there was, I have to find the statistics on it, but I'm pretty sure that the average partner count, like the average number of people that you've had sex with for both men and women, is actually lower now than it was in the 50s, in the 60s, and before that. Now, I don't know about 1800s and 1700s and 1600s, but I think that the only reason it might be lower is simply availability. I don't think it has anything to do with the character of the people in those times. I don't think the people in the 1800s, 1700s, or 1600s, there's not some golden age of there was pure Christian women who were saintly in, that would visit the cathedral every, few days to pray and go home and obey their husband. I think that is a total fucking myth. I don't think that ever fucking existed. There's always a subset of women who are more virtuous and are the ideal wife type that you want all throughout history, but they've just been the 1%, just the better people. There's the 1% of people for income. There's the 1% of people for, getting laid and their seduction skills and their communication skills. And there's the 1% of virtue. And it's always really been that way. And there might be swings in certain directions depending on your time period. But I don't think there was some golden age of virtuous women. I just think there was a lack of availability. And if they did have the availability that modern people have to travel and meet a lot more people than they normally would when they're kind of sequestered in their little fucking village, I think that they would be just as promiscuous. And I think that we're seeing a lot more of it because of social media. So it seems apparently like we're in some really decadent, morally unclean time. I don't think that's true at all. So there was no fucking golden age. I think women have pretty much been the same. We just have a little bit complicated of a dating situation because of the availability of travel and communication, texting, calling, social media, and then, fucking airplanes and cars. And when we see evil, which is mostly what we're going to see online because it's the most entertaining thing for us and it's the most salacious, so we want to pay attention to it. It's the most attention grabbing. You see more bad shit on the news than good stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff that's happening all the time, but it doesn't get as much of attention, right? Another reason why the red pillars are wrong. Okay, you probably don't deserve that really kind, good woman. Well, I'm a good guy. Okay, that makes you a good person, but that doesn't make you worthy of a mate. Being a good person is not a mating value. Like, it doesn't turn a woman on. You have to have dating skills. You have to be sexy. You have to be charismatic, funny. You can be good looking. You might be in really good shape. You might be tall, right? But you're going to probably have to have more than just one thing. You're probably going to have to be more than just good looking, because eventually it might work in the beginning as a short-term mating strategy, and the woman might be attracted to you, might even sleep with her just because you're good looking. But usually that's not the case. If you don't have any charisma or social skills, she's going to be unattracted really fast. I mean, I've just seen it myself in my face. A girl's really attracted to a guy who she finds really hot for X or Y reason, and then he loses her. So if him being good looking or tall, whatever, was sufficient to get her, in bed, it would have worked. But there was an error. And the error was in his talking, right? His game sucked. Okay. So you're going to have more than one good quality, physically, conversationally, personality wise, your character, to attract her. Okay. That's what's going to attract her. Then your moral virtue and her moral virtue, whether she's a good person or not, obviously that's part of the person that she is, but it's not a dating quality. So you attract her, you turn her on, and you sleep with her because of X and Y. You being a good person, first of all, it's a thing that takes a lot of time to see. I mean, how is she going to know you're a good person? You know you because you've been you your entire life, but she just knows you on a first date. Oh, I'm a good person, so she should love me. How does she know? It hasn't been proven. Right? Just because someone seems good on the surface when you first meet them, is that the truth? No, you have to run them through trials, so it takes time. Okay. And secondly, by the time she is at a point where she's like, oh, this guy's actually a good person too, or he's a kind person, or he's shown me at least that there's evidence he's a kind person, you also have been seducing her with your seductive skills. So it's just an additional thing, and it makes you more of a long-term option. But as we've gone over many times with our dating philosophy, being a long-term option is something that you add after being a short-term option. You want girls to be attracted to you on a pussy level before they're attracted to you on a long-term husband and wife having kids level. Because, well, first of all, having kids involves having sex, and sex is a hugely important part of having a good relationship with someone. And you want to be hitting that angle of attraction, the sexual angle, because it's the most powerful. To sustain the relationship, you need the love and the affection and the trustworthiness and loyalty, etc. But if it doesn't rest on a foundation of being attracted, it's never going to last. That just makes you a friend. And then they wonder why they're in the friend zone. Well, I'm a good guy. Well, that makes you a good friend, but it doesn't necessarily make you a good lover. And a relationship is lover plus friend. It's really easy. That's patronizing. It's a simple truth, but it's very hard to see because we haven't questioned very simple assumptions. Okay. So what does that have to do with promiscuity? Well, you don't necessarily deserve the best girl. Oh, these girls are all hoes and da-da-da. Well, if you're constantly attracting hoes and that's all you can get, that's probably all you fucking deserve. You're not attractive enough to get a good girl. Oh, well, all the good girls are gone. Nope, there's no golden age. It's not like dude, you, just listen to yourself. You sound like the fucking feminist. Where have all the good men gone? They're always there. You're not good enough to get them. And I'm not the guy who's like, oh, well, you're missing out on them. And your best friend who's been in love with you and pining for you all along, he's really the good guy. No, he's not. He's a pussy. He doesn't have the balls to just go for what he wants. Or he doesn't have the selection pool. Like, he's been pining after you for years. Any self-respecting man would have moved on and gone for another girl who's interested in him. So that's not the good guy either. If you can't find a good man, it's because you're probably not that good of a woman. It's just to be complete, you're either not attractive or you're a piece of shit. And as for a guy, if you're having trouble finding a good woman, it has nothing to do with fucking society. It's because you're unattractive or you're a piece of shit and you're not as good as you think you are. Most people in the world who are pieces of shit don't think they're pieces of shit. Because if they had the self-awareness to realize they're pieces of shit, they'd probably stop being a piece of shit really quickly. They'd be on the way up in self-improvement. Who in the world admits they're a bad person? Have you ever met someone who just acknowledges they're a bad person? It's very fucking rare. So, as you see, there's an unraveling of all of this. All these guys who I see in Instagram comments, just it's really prevalent now. Guys were kind of scared to do it, but now they're just fatherless activity. Women with the coffee emoji. It's like a common response on Instagram.
Women.
You know, or if some girl's like blasting her OnlyFans, advertising her OnlyFans, or doing some like slutty shit, you know, showing off her boobs, dressed really provocatively, fatherless behavior. That's not even a good fucking insult. So her being a slut is because she didn't have her father? Well, whose fucking fault is that? Maybe the father should have fucking stuck around. Oh, well, it's because the mother's a bitch. How do you fucking know? You're making all these goddamn assumptions. You know nothing about it. But your entire argument is based on the fact that her father wasn't around. Well, maybe he shouldn't be a piece of shit fucking absent father. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's so prevalent that men are just jumping on it, right? Because, of course, it's easier to blame everyone else. But I'm a dating coach. I'm telling you to blame yourself. Like I told you, if you can't find a good, virtuous woman who's also really hot, it's because you fucking suck. So you gotta go out and stop fucking sucking, right? Learn how to talk to girls, okay? Learn how to approach girls. Learn how to have a fucking conversation. Work on your fundamentals, right? Your facial expressions, your body language, your vocal tonality, your fashion, you know, how you groom yourself. Like, just look presentable, look fairly attractive, but then also learn how to have a cool personality, a nice sense of humor, da-da-da. Now, if you think you have these things on dates or when you're on dates with them, they're not interested in seeing you again, that's because your game sucks. Your ability to communicate with women sucks really bad. And a lot of it, especially for modern men, instead of modern women, modern men, the problem might be that you have these stupid fucking mentalities. And a lot of guys do, actually, whether they're aware of it or not. Even I did for a long time. I had subtle undercurrents of, you know, not hating women, but being very judgmental of women. But as Chase has gone over and for many years in his articles, and I've gone over in a lot of my videos, being judgmental of women is one of the strongest anti-aphrodisiacs that you could possibly have. It turns off women so much that you're judgmental. You might find a girl who is part of the zeitgeist on the conservative side right now who's like, yeah, women shouldn't be sluts and da-da-da. She might actually feel that way, but if she's so vehemently venomous about it, it's just a facade she's putting on to fit in with the conservative side. Just like always throughout history, burn the witch. A lot of it was probably other women calling out really sexy chicks who seduced their husband. Fucking burn the witch, right? So it's always a lot of politics and religious and just ideological fervor and negative hate energy. A lot of it is just self-preservation masking itself as a moral crusade. It's understandable, but it's fucking stupid, and you're better than that. Now, a lot of people watching this video are going to be on either side, the feminists or the red pillars, but they're both fucking retarded. Your job is to not be retarded, okay? And to get rid of that extra chromosome and be a normal functioning human being, not a fucking robot, and think for yourself and just create the best dating life possible. And one of the things that Chase and I have seen and what we try to teach guys is stop being judgmental of women. If she belongs to the streets, then to the streets she shall return. Just talk to her and be nice to her. If you want to have sex with her, have sex with her. If you're morally opposed to women who are promiscuous, then don't have sex with her. But why would you spend even a second judging her, being angry at her? It's a complete waste of time. Just change your focus. But if you're so focused on it, usually this is where the feminists are actually kind of correct. So when guys are like slut-shaming women, they're like, oh yeah, it's guys who can't get laid. A lot of times it actually is. Because a guy who's getting laid wouldn't waste his time leaving a comment to a random girl on Instagram that he doesn't know, letting her know she's a fucking whore. A guy who's getting fucking pussy most of the time doesn't feel that way. Even if it's a guy who gets pussy but who's also really conservative, which I would fall under. I'm pretty conservative as a person. I won't go into details, but I'm pretty conservative. But I really like women too. And if they're sluts, I'm not going to date her and take her seriously, right? But she's still a human being who's worthy of respect, okay? And I might have sex with her and it could be fun. But if I know I'm not going to get caught in the trap of dating her, then why would I even spend This is another thing. Are you telling me that these guys who sitting around and slut shame women, that somehow they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts? Because if you're calling someone out and you're criticizing someone, if your number one motivation is not compassion on some level, either for them or someone who could get persuaded by them, then you're just being hateful, right? If I criticize you, right? Let's say I'm your coach and you come to me in this situation and I kind of lambast you a little bit, like, come on, man, you're about to da-da-da-da. My goal of criticizing you is to help you. Otherwise, I would just be hating on you. But I'm your coach, so it's my job to help you. The same thing with anyone else in your life. If you're criticizing someone, you should be driven by compassion to help them out. But is a random guy leaving a comment on Instagram telling a girl she's a whore, is that really something that's compassionate? I'm sure if you got him to admit it, he'd be like, no, I'm just fucking hating on her. And why? Well, it's because I'm angry with women. And a lot of reasons why my men are angry with women, it's usually because they're not getting their dick sucked. I don't know if you've met guys who get their dick sucked a lot and get a lot of pussy. They're generally not that hateful towards women. Not all the time. You can find a few. But most guys who are getting laid a lot, they're not really angry with women because they don't have a reason to be. They're getting a lot from women. Give that some thought, right? I've given you quite a lot of reasons why you really shouldn't waste your time slut shaming women. And you're not going to have any effect on society, okay? We're just in the natural phase of things swinging to the conservative side, okay? And the feminists and the left are going to get pile drived, right? For a lot of reasons. Mostly the reason why is because even super leftist women are really attracted to hyper masculine men, and it's always been that way. And it's going to continue to be that way. Not necessarily hyper masculine like the buzz, cut military masculine man. He could be really effeminate, but he has enough strong core masculine features and behaviors that he's overall a masculine man. But you can be super effeminate but still be a masculine man. But that's totally different subject, okay? But at the end of the day, women are attracted and get their pussy wet for strong men. Let's say strong men, not necessarily even masculine men, strong men. And the strongest men are usually conservative, mostly, okay? So the feminists are wrong in that they say, well, don't have any judgment towards a woman's body count. That's retarded, okay? I don't even have to give a video on that. It's very clear that promiscuous women are really not worth getting serious with. But the other side, the side that says she belongs to the streets and kick her to the curb and slut shame her and leave comments on Instagram and that's a total fucking waste of time for all the reasons that I've pointed out. Because I'm here to make you a better dater, okay? I'm here to give you healthy relationships with women. And I promise you are not out of the kindness of your heart slut shaming these women. It's because you're hateful towards them on some level. So I'm interested in just getting you happy. That can involve getting a lot of girls. And if you want to get a lot of girls, slut shaming women is a really good way to not do that. If you're not judgmental towards women, promiscuous women, they're going to be really attracted to you. Because when it comes time to have sex with you, they're not going to feel a lot of shame towards it. But if you're a slut shamer, they're probably going to be a little bit hesitant to get with you. And even if you want something serious, you're still going to have sex with a girl who's supposedly a good girl. And I don't know if you have any experience, but even the good girls love choking on dick, getting slapped around, cum on their face. I've seen every example of it. Not one girl has proven herself to be a fucking exception. Okay. So your hyper pure, stupid fucking Madonna whore complex, retarded philosophy is completely a naive delusion based on inexperience, because there is no woman out there who she's like, okay, I'm a woman of God, and what, you're only gonna do missionary? That's it? And you're only gonna have sex to procreate? Now, if that's your perspective, I don't even know why you're on this video, okay? So we like to have sex and we want to enjoy sex, and I could make a huge argument for it, but there's nothing inherently wrong with sex, okay? There's nothing dirty and unclean about it. So you having any judgmentalness towards a woman's promiscuity, maybe she hasn't had a lot of partners, but when she does have one partner, she's going to do dirty stuff with him. So do you want her to gag on your dick and spit all over it and have fun with it? Now, if you say yes, but then at the same time you're judging a lot of women, you really gotta figure out the consistency of your morals, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay. Anyway, so don't slut shame women. It's a waste of time, and it's really gonna hurt you when it comes to dating women. So take a step back. If you find yourself getting caught in this culture war of saying that women belong to the streets, I suggest that, like I said, you take a step back and you reevaluate why you're doing it, and what you'll find is that 99% of your motivation is not really helpful at all. And if you stop judging these women, but also, of course, don't be an idiot and turn a hoe into a housewife, because in 999 out of 1,000 situations, it's not going to work. You have such a burden off of your back, and you could just focus on, how do I turn girls on? How do I seduce them? And then how do I have a healthy relationship with a girl? Which you can learn how to do by watching this channel. And also, if you want to learn how to bring cool chicks into your life, either for casual or serious things, you should check out my day game course. It's called Meet Girls Everywhere. It's in the description below. I'll teach you how to walk up to girls, talk to them, have a nice conversation for a couple minutes. It's really not fucking rocket science. And after about like 3 minutes to 5 minutes of conversation, you ask her out on a date. And then once you're texting her, you can do that with my texting book, and it's super cheap. I'll also put a link in the description for that. And set up a date with her. And then you have a nice date. You seduce her with Chase's course, one date, right? We teach you how to do everything. And then once you've seduced her, you can start dating her and turn it into a relationship and have your old good Christian, religious, conservative family, right? But without all the unnecessary weight that you've added onto it with your very illogical and inconsistent beliefs of slut shaming and believing that girls belong to the streets and blah, 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 blah. So hopefully I've persuaded you to detach from this movement, which is just a lot of hate, like I said, masquerading as a moral crusade. And it's a waste of time, and it's actually hurting your dating life a lot, because guys who get pussy don't complain about hoes. They have fun with them, or they just ignore them. Okay, cool. Hector Castillo, girlchase.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you very soon. Ciao.